Digha Nikāya, Sutta number 21, Sakkapañha Sutta, Questions from the King of the Gods. Thus have I heard. At one time the Blessed One was staying in Magadha, to the east of Rajagha, by a Brahmin village called Ambasanda, to the north of the village on Mount Vedya in the Indasala cave. At that time, Sakka, king of the gods, felt a strong need to see the Lord. And Sakka thought, "Where is the blessed Lord, the fully awakened Buddha, now staying at?" Then, perceiving where the Blessed One was, Sakka said to the 33 gods, "Sirs, the blessed Lord is staying in Magadha, to the east of Rajagha, by a Brahmin village called Ambasanda, to the north of the village on Mount Vedya in the Indasala cave. How would it be if we were to go and visit the blessed Lord?" "Very good, Lord, and may good fortune go with you," replied the 33 gods. Then Sakka said to Panchasikha of the Gandhabas, "The blessed Lord is staying in Magadha, to the east of Rajagha, by a Brahmin village called Ambasanda, to the north of the village of Mount Vedya in the Indasala cave. I propose to go to visit him." "Very good, Lord," said Panchasikha, and taking his yellow beluva wood lute, he followed in attendance on Sakka. Just as swiftly as a strong man might stretch forth his flexed arm, or flex it back again, Sakka, surrounded by the 33 gods and attended by Panchasikha, vanished from the heaven of the 33 and appeared in Magadha, on Mount Vedya. Then a tremendous light shone over Mount Vedya, illuminating the village of Ambasanda. So great was the power of the gods, so that in the surrounding villages they were saying, "Look, Mount Vedya is on fire today. It's burning. It's in flames. What is the matter that Mount Vedya and Ambasanda are lit up like this?" And they were so terrified that their hair stood on end. Then Sakka said, "Panchasikha, it is hard for the likes of us to get near the Tathagatas when they are enjoying the bliss of meditation, and therefore withdrawn. But if you, Panchasikha, were first to attract the ear of the Blessed Lord, then we might afterwards be able to approach and see the Blessed One, the fully awakened Buddha." "Very good, Lord," said Panchasikha, and taking his yellow beluva wood lute, he approached the Indasala cave. Thinking, "As far as this is neither too far nor too near to the Lord, and he will hear my voice," he stood to one side. Then, to the strains of his lute, he sang these verses extolling the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Arahants, and love. "Lady, your father Timbaru greet, O sunshine fair, I give him honor due, by whom was sired a maid as fair as you, who are the cause of all my heart's delight. Delightful as the breeze to one who sweats, or as a cooling draught to one who thirsts. Your radiant beauty is to me as dear as the Dhamma is to Arahants. Just as medicine to him who's ill, or nourishment to one who's starving still. Bring me, gracious lady, sweet release with water cool from my consuming flames." The elephant, oppressed by summer heat, seeks out a lotus pool upon which float petals and pollen of that flower. So into your bosom, sweet, I'd plunge. As an elephant, urged by the goad, pays no heed to pricks of lance and spear, so I, unheeding, know not what I do, intoxicated by your beauteous form. By you my heart is tightly bound in bonds, all my thoughts are quite transformed, and I can no longer find my former course. I'm like a fish that's caught on baited hook. Come, embrace me, maiden fair of thighs, seize and hold me with your lovely eyes. Take me in your arms, it's all I ask. My desire was slight at first, O maid of waving tresses, but it grew space, as grow the gifts that arahants receive. Whatever merit I have gained by gifts to those noble ones, may my reward when it ripens be your love most fair. As the Sakyan sun in jhana wrapt, intent and mindful, seeks the deathless goal, thus intent I seek your love, my son. Just as that sage would be rejoiced if he were to gain supreme awakening, so I'd rejoice to be made one with you. If Sakka, lord of 33 gods, were perchance to grant a boon to me, it's you I'd crave, my love for you's so strong. Your father, made so wise, I venerate, like a sal tree fairly blossoming, for his offspring's sake, so sweet and fair. When he heard this, the Blessed One said, Panchasikha, the sound of your strings blends so well with your song, and your song with the strings, that neither prevails excessively over the other. When did you compose these verses on the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Arahants, and love? Lord, it was when the Blessed Lord was staying on the bank of the river Neranjara, under the goatherd's banyan tree, prior to his awakening. At that time I fell in love with the lady Bhadda, bright as the sun, the daughter of King Timbaru of the Gandhabas. But the lady was in love with someone else. It was Sikhaddi, the son of Mātali, the charioteer, whom she favored. And when I found that I could not win the lady by any manner of means, I took my yellow beluva wood lute and went to the home of King Timbaru of the Gandhabas, and there I sang these verses. And Lord, having heard the verses, the lady Bhadda Suryavachasa said to me, Sir, I have not personally seen that blessed Lord, though I heard of him when I went to the Sudhamma hall of the 33 gods to dance. And since, sir, you praise that blessed Lord so highly, let us meet today. And so, blessed Lord, I met the lady, not then, but later. Then Sakka, king of the gods, thought, Panchasikha and the blessed Lord are in friendly conversation. So he called to Panchasikha, My dear Panchasikha, salute the blessed Lord from me, saying, Lord Sakka, king of the gods, together with his ministers and followers, pays homage at the feet of the blessed Lord. Very good, Lord, said Panchasikha, and he did so. Panchasikha, may Sakka, king of the gods, his ministers and followers be happy, for they all desire happiness. Devas, humans, asuras, nagas, gandhabas, and whatever other groups of beings there are. For that is the way the Tathagatas greet such mighty beings. After this greeting, Sakka entered the Indasala cave, saluted the blessed Lord, and stood to one side, and the 33 gods with Panchasikha did the same. Then, in the Indasala cave, the rough passages became smooth, the narrow parts became wide, and in the pitch-dark cavern it became bright, owing to the power of the Devas. Then the Blessed Lord said to Sakka, "It is wonderful, it is marvelous that the Venerable Kosya, with so many things to do, should come here. Lord, I have long wished to visit the Blessed One, but I have always been so busy on behalf of the 33 that I was unable to come. Once the Blessed Lord was staying at Savatthi in the Salala hut, and I went to Savatthi to see the Lord. At that time the Blessed Lord was seated in some form of meditation, and King Vesavana's wife, Bhunjati, was waiting on him, venerating him with palms together. I said to her, "Lady, please salute the Blessed Lord for me and say, 'Sakka, the King of the Gods, with his ministers and followers, pays homage at the Lord's feet.'" But she said, "Sir, it is not the proper time to see the Blessed Lord. He is in retreat." "Well then, lady, when the Blessed One rises from his meditation, please tell him what I have said." "Lord, did the lady salute you on my behalf? And does the Lord remember what she said?" "She did salute me, King of the Gods, and I remember what she said. I also remembered that it was the sound of your reverence's chariot wheels that roused me from my meditation." "Blessed Lord, those gods who arose in the heaven of the 33 before I did have told me and assured me that whenever a Tathagata, a fully awakened Arahant Buddha, arises in the world, the ranks of Devas increase, and those of the Asuras decline in numbers. In fact, I have witnessed this myself. There was, Lord, right here in Kapilavatthu, a Sakyan girl called Gopika, who had faith in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, who was moral and observed the precepts scrupulously. She rejected the status of a woman and developed the thought of becoming a man. Then, after her death, at the breakup of the body, she went to a happy destination, being reborn in a heaven state among the 33 gods, as one of our sons, becoming known as Gopaka, the Deva's son. Also, there were 3 bhikkhus who, having observed the holy life under the Blessed One, had been reborn in the inferior condition of Gandhabhas. They lived indulging in the pleasures of the 5 senses, as our attendants and servants. At this, Gopaka rebuked them, saying, "What were you about, sirs, that you did not listen to the Blessed Lord's teaching? I was a woman who had faith in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Being moral, I observed the precepts scrupulously. I rejected the status of a woman, and was reborn among the 33 gods, and am known as Gopaka, the Deva's son. But you, after having observed the holy life under the Blessed One, have been reborn in the inferior condition of Gandhabhas. It is a sorry sight for us to see our fellows in the Dhamma reborn in the inferior condition of Gandhabhas." And being thus rebuked, 2 of those devas immediately developed mindfulness, and so attained to the realm of the retinue of Brahma, but one of them remained addicted to sensual pleasures. Thus Gopaka spoke, "Disciple once of him who sees, the name I bore then, Gopika. In Buddha, Dhamma, firmly trusting, I served the Sangha cheerfully. For loyal service paid to him, see me now, a Sakka son, mighty in the 3-fold heaven, resplendent, Gopaka my name. Then former bhikkhus I saw, who'd reached no higher than Gandhabha's rank, who before had human birth and led the life of the Buddha taught. We supplied their food and drink and waited on them in our homes. Had they no ears, that they, thus blessed, still could not grasp the Buddha's law? Each for himself must understand that Dhamma taught by him who sees, and well proclaimed, I, serving you, heard the Noble One's good words, and so I am born, a Sakka son, mighty in the threefold heaven, and resplendent, whereas you, though you served the Prince of Men and led the matchless life he taught, have reappeared in humble state, and not attained your proper rank. A sorry sight it is to see one's Dhamma fellows sunk so low that Gandhabba spirits, you, but come to wait upon the gods, while, as for me, I am transformed. From household life and female, I am now reborn a male, a god, rejoicing in celestial bliss. When thus rebuked by Gopaka, disciple true of Gotama, in sore distress they all replied, Alas, let's go and strive again, and be no longer other slaves. And of the three, two struggled hard, and bore in mind the teacher's word. They purified their hearts of lust, perceiving peril in desires, and like the elephant that bursts all restraining bonds, they broke the fetters and the bonds of lust, those fetters of the evil one so hard to overcome. And thus the very gods, the 33, with Indra and Pajāpati, who sat enthroned in council hall, these two heroes' passions purged, outstripped, and left them far behind. On seeing which, Vasava, dismayed, chief amidst that throng of gods, cried, See how these of lesser rank outstrip the gods, the 33. Then, hearing of his ruler's fears, Gopaka said to Vasava, Lord Indra, in the world of men, a Buddha called the Sakyan sage, has gained the mastery of lust, and these, his pupils who had failed in mindfulness when claimed by death, have now regained it with my help. Though one of them is left behind, and still among Gandhabas dwells, these two, on highest wisdom set, in deep absorption spurn the gods. Let no disciple ever doubt that truth may yet be realized by those who dwell in these abodes. To him who's crossed the flood and made an end of doubts, our homage due, the Buddha, Victor, Lord, we give. Even here they gained the truth, and so have passed beyond to greater eminence. Those two have gained a higher place than this in realms of Brahma's retinue, and we have come, O Lord, in hope that we may gain that truth, and if the Lord will give us leave to put our questions to the Blessed Lord. Then the Blessed One thought, Sakka has lived a pure life for a long time. Whatever questions he may ask will be to the point and not frivolous, and he will be quick to understand my answers. So, the Blessed Lord replied to Sakka in this verse, Ask me, Sakka, all that you desire. On what you ask, I'll put your mind at rest. Being thus invited, Sakka, king of the gods, put his first question to the Lord. By what fetters, sir, are beings bound? Gods, humans, asuras, nagas, gandhabas, and whatever other kinds there may be, whereby, although they wish to live without hate, harming, hostility, or malignity, and in peace, they yet live in hate, harming one another, hostile and evil. This was Sakka's first question to the Lord, and the Blessed One replied, Ruler of the gods, it is the bonds of jealousy and hatred that bind beings so that, though they wish to live without hate, harming, hostility or malignity, and in peace, they yet live in hate, harming one another, hostile and evil. This was the Blessed One's reply, and Sakka, delighted, exclaimed, So it is, Lord, so it is, Tathagata. Through the Lord's answer I have overcome my doubt and got rid of uncertainty. Then Sakka, having expressed his appreciation, asked another question. But, sir, what gives rise to jealousy and hatred? What is their origin? How are they born? How do they arise? Owing to the presence of what do they arise? Owing to the absence of what do they not arise? Jealousy and hatred, ruler of the gods, take rise from like and dislike. This is their origin. This is how they are born, how they arise. When these are present, they arise. When these are absent, they do not arise. But, sir, what gives rise to like and dislike? What is their origin? How are they born? How do they arise? Owing to the presence of what do they arise? Owing to the absence of what do they not arise? They arise, ruler of the gods, from desire. This is their origin. This is how they are born, how they arise. Owing to the presence of desire they arise. Owing to the absence of desire they do not arise. But, sir, what gives rise to desire? What is its origin? How is it born? How does it arise? Desire, ruler of the gods, arises from thinking. Thinking is its origin. This is how it is born, how it arises. When the mind thinks about something, desire arises. When the mind thinks about nothing, desire does not arise. But, sir, what gives rise to thinking? What is its origin? How is it born? How does it arise? Thinking, ruler of the gods, arises from the tendency to proliferation. This is its origin. This is how it is born, how it arises. When this tendency is present, thinking arises. When it is absent, thinking does not arise. Well, sir, what practice has that bhikkhu undertaken who has reached the right way which is necessary and leading to the cessation of the tendency to proliferation? Ruler of the gods, I declare that there are two kinds of happiness, the kind to be pursued and the kind to be avoided. The same applies to unhappiness and equanimity. Why have I declared this in regard to happiness? This is how I understood happiness. When I observed that in the pursuit of such happiness, unwholesome factors increased and wholesome factors decreased, then that happiness was to be avoided. And when I observed that in the pursuit of such happiness unwholesome factors decreased and wholesome ones increased, then that happiness was to be sought after. Now, of such happiness as is accompanied by thinking and pondering, and of that which is not so accompanied, the latter is the more excellent. The same applies to unhappiness and to equanimity. And this, ruler of the gods, is the practice that bhikkhu has undertaken who has reached the right way, which is necessary and leading to the cessation of the tendency to proliferation. And Sakka, at this point, expressed his delight at the Lord's answer. Then Sakka, having expressed his appreciation, asked another question. Well, sir, what practice has that bhikkhu undertaken who has acquired the restraint required by the rules of noble virtue? Ruler of the gods, I declare that there are two kinds of bodily conduct, the kind to be pursued and the kind to be avoided. The same applies to conduct of speech and to the pursuit of goals. Why have I declared this in regard to bodily conduct? This is how I understood bodily conduct. When I observed that by the performance of certain actions, unwholesome factors increased and wholesome factors decreased, then that form of bodily action was to be avoided. And when I observed that by the performance of such actions unwholesome factors decreased and wholesome ones increased, then such bodily action was to be followed. That is why I make this distinction. The same applies to conduct of speech and the pursuit of goals. And this, ruler of the gods, is the practice that bhikkhu has undertaken who has acquired the restraint required by the rules of noble virtue. Sakka, at this point, expressed his delight at the Lord's answer. Further, Sakka asked another question. Well, sir, what practice has that bhikkhu undertaken who has acquired control of his sense faculties? Ruler of the gods, I declare that things perceived by the eye are of two kinds, the kind to be pursued and the kind to be avoided. The same applies to things perceived by the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind. At this, Sakka, king of the gods, said, Lord, I understand in full the true meaning of what the Blessed Lord has outlined in brief. Blessed One, whatever object perceived by the eye, if its pursuit leads to the increase of unwholesome factors and the decrease of wholesome ones, that is not to be sought after. If its pursuit leads to the decrease of unwholesome factors and the increase of wholesome ones, such an object is to be sought after. And the same applies to things perceived by the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind. Thus I understand in full the true meaning of what the Blessed Lord has outlined in brief. And thus, through the Blessed Lord's answer, I have overcome my doubt and got rid of uncertainty. Then Sakka asked another question. Sir, do all recluses and Brahmins teach the same doctrine, practice the same discipline, want the same thing, and pursue the same goal? No, ruler of the gods, they do not. But why, sir, do they not do so? The world, ruler of the gods, is made up of many and various elements. Such being the case, beings adhere to one or other of these various things, and whatever they adhere to, they become powerfully addicted to, and declare, "This alone is the truth, everything else is false." Therefore, they do not all teach the same doctrine, practice the same discipline, want the same thing, pursue the same goal. Sir, are all recluses and Brahmins fully proficient, freed from bonds, perfect in the holy life? Have they perfectly reached the goal? No, ruler of the gods. Why is that, sir? Only those, ruler of the gods, who are liberated by the destruction of craving are fully proficient, freed from the bonds, perfect in the holy life, and have perfectly reached the goal. And Sakka rejoiced at the answer as before. Then Sakka said, Passion, sir, is a disease, a boil, a dart. It seduces a man, drawing him into this or that state of becoming, so that he is reborn in high states or low. Whereas other recluses and Brahmins of differing viewpoints gave me no chance to ask these questions, the Blessed Lord has instructed me at length, and thus removed the dart of doubt and uncertainty from me. Ruler of the gods, do you admit to having asked the same question of other recluses and Brahmins? Yes, Lord. Then, if you don't mind, please tell me what they said. I do not mind telling the Blessed Lord, or one like him. Then tell me, ruler of the gods. Lord, I went to those I considered to be recluses and Brahmins because of their solitary life in the woods, and I put these questions to them. But instead of giving me a proper answer, they asked me in return, "Who are you, Venerable Sir?" I replied that I was Sakka, ruler of the gods, and they asked me what had brought me there. Then I taught them the Dhamma as far as I had heard it and practiced it. But they were very pleased with even that much, and they said, "We have seen Sakka, the ruler of the gods. He has answered the questions we put to him." And they became my pupils instead of my becoming theirs. But I, Lord, am a disciple of the Blessed Lord, a stream winner, not subject to rebirth in states of woe, firmly established and destined for full awakening. Ruler of the gods, do you admit to having ever previously experienced rejoicing and happiness, such as you experience now? Yes, Lord. And what was that about? In the past, Blessed Lord, war had broken out between the gods and the asuras, and the gods had defeated the asuras. After the battle, as a victor, I thought, whatever is now the food of the gods, and what is the food of the asuras, henceforth we shall enjoy both. But, Lord, such happiness and satisfaction which was due to blows and wounds does not conduce to dispassion, disenchantment, cessation, peace, higher knowledge, awakening, Nibbāna. But that happiness and satisfaction that is obtained by hearing the Dhamma from the Blessed Lord, which is not due to blows and wounds, does conduce to dispassion, disenchantment, cessation, peace, higher knowledge, awakening, Nibbāna. And ruler of the gods, what things do you call to mind when you admit to experiencing such satisfaction and happiness as this? Lord, at such a time, 6 things come to mind at which I rejoice. I, who merely as a god exist, have gained the chance by kamma of another earthly life. That, Lord, is the first thing that occurs to me. Leaving this non-human realm of gods behind, unerringly I'll seek the womb I wish to find. That, Lord, is the second thing that occurs to me. My problems solved, I'll gladly live by Buddha's Dhamma, restrained and mindful, and with clear comprehension filled. That, Lord, is the third thing that occurs to me. And should thereby awakening arise in me, as one who knows I'll dwell and there await my end. That, Lord, is the fourth thing that occurs to me. Then, when I leave the human world again, I'll be once more a god and one of the highest ranks. That, Lord, is the fifth thing that occurs to me. More glorious than devas are the peerless gods, among whom dwelling I shall make my final home. That, Lord, is the sixth thing that occurs to me, and these are the 6 things at which I rejoice. Long I wandered, unfulfilled in doubt, in quest of the Tathagata. I thought hermits who live secluded and austere must surely be awakened. I'll seek them. What must I do to gain success, and what course but leads to failure? But thus asked, they could not tell me how to tread the path. Instead, When they found out that I am king of gods, they asked me why I'd come to them. And I it was who taught them what I knew of Dhamma. And at that, rejoicing, they cried, "It's Vasava, the Lord we've seen." But now, I've seen the Buddha, and my doubts are all dispelled. My fears are all removed. And now to the awakened one I pay homage due, to him who's drawn the dart of craving, to the Buddha, peerless Lord, mighty hero, kinsman of the sun. Just as Brahma's worshipped by the gods, so likewise today we worship you, awakened one and teacher unsurpassed, whom none can equal in the human world or in the heavens, dwelling of the gods. Then Sakka, ruler of the gods, said to Panchasika of the Gandhabas, "My dear Panchasika, you have been of great help to me for gaining the ear of the Blessed Lord, for it was through your gaining his ear that we were admitted to the presence of the Blessed Lord, the Arahant, the supremely awakened Buddha. I will be a father to you. You shall be king of the Gandhabas, and I will give you Bhadda Suryavachasa, whom you desired." And then Sakka, ruler of the gods, touched the earth with his hand and called out 3 times, "Homage to the Blessed One, the Arahant, the supremely awakened Buddha. Homage to the Blessed One, the Arahant, the supremely awakened Buddha. Homage to the Blessed One, the Arahant, the supremely awakened Buddha." And while he had been speaking in this dialogue, the pure and spotless Dhamma I arose within Sakka, ruler of the gods, and he knew, whatever things have an origin must come to cessation. And the same thing happened to 80,000 devas as well. Such were the questions which Sakka, ruler of the gods, was desirous to ask and learn, and which the Blessed Lord answered for him. Therefore, this discourse is called Sakka's questions. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.